Have you ever felt like you had to earn love, like you had to perform to be worthy? I used to feel that way too. Growing up, I was loved and accepted by my family, but I believed that if I could just do all the right things, I'd finally be loved and accepted by everybody else. The missing piece for me, though, was that I didn't fully understand who God was and how His love worked. But then I came to a life-changing realization. God's love isn't something you earn, it's something that's freely given. Hi, I'm Melissa, and I'm so glad you're here today. My channel is about sharing messages of hope and encouragement that I have received from God. And I truly hope today's message helps you feel seen and valued just as you are. Today, I want to share a message that completely shifted how I see myself and how I see God's love. This is for you if you've ever felt like you weren't enough. Let's dive into the first truth that helped me see things in a new light. God's love is unconditional. God's love isn't based on our actions, achievements, or performance. It's about who we are as individuals. I remember a time when I was at my absolute lowest. I had just hit rock bottom. Every relationship that I had been in had failed, and I felt completely lost and alone. But in that moment of despair, something incredible happened. I felt God's love in a way I had never felt before. It wasn't because I had done everything right or because I was perfect. It was just there, unconditional and overwhelming. And in that moment, I knew without a doubt that everything was going to be okay. If you're feeling lost or alone right now, I want you to know this. God's love for you is not based on what you've done or where you are in life. It's unconditional and available to you no matter what you're going through. In Romans 5:8, it says, "But God demonstrates His own love for us in this: while we were still sinners, Christ died for us." This verse reminds us that God's love isn't reactive, it's proactive. Even at our lowest, when we felt undeserving, Christ showed the ultimate act of love by dying for us. His love is not based on how good we are, but on how He has an unchanging nature. That means that His love for you is right now exactly where you are. With this foundation of God's love, I realized something profound. I didn't have to work or perform to earn it, and neither do you. For years, I thought I had to be perfect in everything I did. I worked hard to be the best in sports, in school, in work, relationships, believing that if I could just make everyone else happy, I'd finally feel good enough. But the harder I tried, the emptier I felt. I was constantly chasing approval, trying to please others, but it never brought the peace I was seeking. Eventually, I realized my worth isn't tied to pleasing others, and it's okay to let go of that burden. If you've ever felt like you had to be perfect or constantly seek approval to feel worthy, I want to remind you, you are not alone. It's easy to get caught up in the cycle of performing for love, but your worth isn't determined by anyone's opinion. God loves you just as you are. You don't have to earn that love. You are enough right now. And when you let go of that pressure, you'll discover a peace that comes from resting in God's unconditional love. In Ephesians 2:8-9, it says, "For it is by grace you have been saved through faith, and this is not from yourselves. It is the gift of God, not by works, so that no one can boast." This verse speaks directly to their struggle with performance. God's love and salvation are gifts, not wages earned through hard work. When I finally let go of trying to earn love, I discovered the peace that comes from resting in His grace. This shift in perspective freed me from a heavy burden, but there was still one more truth I needed to embrace. God doesn't want my perfection. He wants my heart. I used to believe I had to fix my life before I can come to God, but I learned that God doesn't wait for perfection. He invites us to come as we are. I felt so unworthy of God's love because of the mistakes I'd made. I looked at the mess I had made of my life and I felt like I failed Him. But what I came to understand is that God wasn't asking for perfection. He just wanted my heart with all of its flaws and imperfections. And when I finally opened my heart to Him, I discovered a love that wasn't based on my mistakes, but on His grace. If you've ever felt like you're too broken or unworthy to give your heart to God, I want you to know this. God isn't waiting for you to have it all together. He sees your struggles, your flaws, and your pain, and He still desires your heart. You don't have to fix everything before coming to Him. Just show up with an open heart, and you'll experience a love that transforms, not because of who you are, but because of who He is. I love in Proverbs 23:26, it says, "My son, give me your heart, and let your eyes delight in my ways." This verse reveals what truly matters to God, our hearts. He isn't interested in us putting up a perfect performance. He desires a genuine relationship with us. When I finally gave God my heart, with all of its flaws, I experienced a love that heals and transforms. This truth changed everything for me, and it can change everything for you. God's love isn't about who you are or what you've done. It's about who He is. So, as I wrap this up, remember this. God's love for you is not based on your performance, achievements, or mistakes. It's rooted in who He created you to be, His beloved child. My prayer for you today is that you begin to see yourself the way God sees you, fully known and unconditionally loved. If this message touched your heart, take a moment to reflect on it. Share it with someone who needs this reminder today, and let's spread the truth of God's love together. Thank you for being here, and remember, you are loved.